Yay! Alright, so some of you were able to start the city with us for your New Year's fireworks, and some of you weren't. So I just wanted to review what we did. The first thing we did was we came in with a pencil and we lightly drew a skyline made up of the silhouette of buildings. Now, remember, a silhouette means I see the outline, but I do not see the details. It also means that I'm going to use that whole shape. So think of it like a shadow. The next thing that we did, once we had our skyline, is that we came in and we used a pattern for each of those different buildings. We knew we wanted a slightly different pattern so they wouldn't confuse when they were next to each other. We used thin lines and thick lines, and one of the things we also looked at was how close your lines have to be together in order to be understood. So for example, if I wanted to make this one out of U's, I'm going to get what I think works, and then I'm going to take a pause. If I were to erase the outline of this building, would I be able to see the building shape clearly? Nope. So I need to continue to make this pattern fuller. I can either do that by continuing to add the same shape, or I might add something different. Maybe I want to add lines sprouting out of it. Maybe I want to add a different shape. But I'm going to keep building that up. The other big key for you is that you want the pattern to continue all the way to the edge of the building, almost like you'd cut a patterned piece of paper or fabric to fill it. So if yours stops before it touches the edge of your building, then it's going to be very difficult for people to gauge where that edge is. Essentially, you're stopping before you give them all the information. All right, so I'd keep going, and then eventually I'd wind up with something like this or something like this, where I've gotten all of my buildings in a different pattern, and I've also erased all of the pencil. Now that I've erased all the pencil, I'm going to be going in and creating my fireworks. So when I'm creating my fireworks, I'm going to be using either colored pencils or crayons. I'm going to stick with one, but whatever's comfortable for you. And we want to blend. So essentially what they look like is big bursts of color that are layered. Whatever color you decide to work with, you're going to start in the center. Some people like to move their pencil around, and some people like to turn their paper as they're working. There's not a right or a wrong way. You just always want to make sure that you're going outward as opposed to just doing this. Okay? So once I get here, I can think about my second color. I think I'm going to use this slightly darker berry color, and I'm going to let those two colors overlap so that they are running into each other. Now, you may have the perfect amount for it to start blending right away. If you do, great. You were lucking out. However, you can always come back in with that first color and bulk up what you have so that you see that in between, that blend a little bit better. Now, you can stick with two. You can add a third ring. You can add a fourth ring. But you always want to try to have a spot where it's just that color, then the two colors blending. Just that color, then the two colors blending. The other big key is that as you're working, you want your fireworks to be spread around the paper so that they're in a more random pattern, because fireworks, unlike cans of soup in the grocery store, are not always lined up perfectly. This is a good example where we are in progress. So you can see we've started scattering them around. Another thing that we consider is where the buildings are. So here's this building right here. And let's pretend I was coming and putting a firework that was going to start close by. So I'll get my first layer. And you'll remember I'm making it almost like a pom-pom or a dandelion to go outward. And then I'll come with my next layer. But guess what? That next layer is going to run into where a building is. So essentially where I know that the outline of the building would start, I'm going to cut that firework off because I'm making it lay behind the building, like the building was overlapping it, helping to give the impression that we're in the sky. And I'd continue that pattern as I went, paying close attention. You can stick with colors that are close on the rainbow or the color wheel, or you can go totally out there like our yellow and blue right there. So how you decide to mix yours is up to you. But once you start doing your fireworks, you are going to go and continue until your entire background is full. And that includes these small spaces in between buildings. Once you get finished with this, you could look and see, oh, you know what, let me do a better job blending here, or let me do a better job filling in here. And then you've got your city celebrating New Year's. All right, hope that helps, guys. Talk to y'all later.